Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about the latest album to be released by Florence and the Machine, their fifth studio album, entitled Dance Fever. If you're not hip to them or you just haven't heard their music before, they are an alternative British band, and they've been together since about the mid-2000s. Their debut album, entitled Lungs, was released back in 2009, and it was a massive hit, and that's really the project that put them on the map. They've been growing exponentially since then. It's really been up and up. They show no signs of stopping in terms of growth, and they continue to be a force to be reckoned with. Their music tends to have a consistent style, although their music can vary a little bit from one album to the next, but they typically borrow from different sounds, like styles like folk, pop, and rock. It's honestly never a dull moment with this band, and I always continue to look forward to hear more and more from them. Dance Fever is a total of 14 tracks, a bit on the shorter side, sitting at about 45 minutes in runtime. As usual, I'm going to give my highlights track by track, starting with the first one, entitled King. This is a wonderful folk rock instrumental here on the song. It consists of steady drums, acoustic guitars, and other strings such as like violins, and towards the end we can also hear a harp peeking through. Florence's vocals and harmonies steal the show here, although I think that the same can be said for the grand majority of this album as a whole. Thematically, it's a sad song. Here, Florence sings of her own complicated emotions regarding her musical career and also her lifestyle. She sings during the opening verse, "The very thing you're best at is the thing that hurts the most. But need your rotten heart, your dazzling pain like diamond rings. You need to go to war to find material to sing. I am no mother, I am no bride, I am king." Florence has expressed in interviews her desire to have children, but worries that having children and living her rock star lifestyle might not really be compatible. It might not be feasible. She describes this terrible feeling of being torn between being happy doing what you love, in her case being a musician and a performer, and wanting to be happy by starting a family of your own. Track number 2 is entitled Free. Here we've got jumpy pop drums and a buzzy synth bass line to set the tone during the intro. Acoustic guitars and a violin join the mix later on. And thematically here, Florence sings of anxieties and the weight that they can carry with them. She opens up the song by singing, "Sometimes I wonder if I should be medicated, if I would feel better just lightly sedated. This feeling comes so fast and I cannot control it. I'm on fire, but I'm trying not to show it." She explains how she copes with this eternal struggle during the chorus as she sings, "But I hear the music, I feel the beat, and for a moment, when I'm dancing, I am free." For many, myself included, music is very therapeutic. I think that there's something just beautiful about being able to lose yourself to the music and feeling at peace in that moment with what it is that you're hearing and feeling in your body. With that, we transition into track number 3, entitled Choreomania. Here we've got a quiet intro that gradually swells into what later is the chorus, and the song builds from that point. The instrumental here consists of a keyboard and Florence's warm vocals. Eventually, drums and many strings join the mix, including plucked violins and a guitar. The chorus explodes with life as the drums are busier and the background accompaniment matches that energy. Thematically, this song seems to be a continuation of the previous song. There's a beautiful sense of progression as the music grows more and more frantic as the song goes on. And lyrically, Florence describes a dancing mania, much like an actual event of mass hysteria that occurred in 16th century Europe. Many call it the dancing plague. It's claimed that many people danced to their deaths during this event of mass hysteria. The energy of the song is lively, while also being unsettling from a lyrical perspective. For example, Florence sings during the beginning, "I don't know how it started, don't know how to stop it. Suddenly I'm dancing to imaginary music. Something's coming so out of breath. I just kept spinning and I danced myself to death. I believe here she's singing about emotions, and in other words, our emotions can consume us, and this can manifest itself in different ways, sometimes physically. While it is a beautiful thing to feel your emotions so freely and in such a powerful manner, it can also be equally terrifying, hence the title of the song. Track number 4 is entitled Back in Town. We've got very quiet and esoteric energy here on the song. The instrumental features subtle keyboard accompaniment and a beautiful choral section with great use of overdubbing. It sounds beautiful. Thematically, Florence sings of coming to a place with the expectations and the intention of enjoying your time there, but you end up staying for very different reasons. In some interviews, she has explained that this song was specifically written with New York City in mind. She was referring to a physical place, but it's vague enough that one could interpret the song in very different ways. For example, Florence sings the words, "I came for the pleasure, but I stayed. Yes, I stayed for the pain." She could easily be referring to an emotional place, one that seems inviting, but one that's also capable of harming you. It seems like she's singing about a cold and lonely place that makes you wonder why you keep coming back. Track number 5 is entitled Girls Against God. The instrumental features fuzzy electric guitars, subtle drums, and beautiful vocals to create a beautiful background for the song. Florence has explained that this song here is about her expressing her frustrations to a God that doesn't really care what she wants or what she thinks. The song was written with the COVID-19 pandemic in mind, as being a musician suddenly became a very different and very uncertain profession. Florence voices her frustrations surrounding this sense of uncertainty during the chorus as she sings, "And I know I may not look like much, just another screaming speck of dust, but oh God, you're gonna get it. You'll be sorry that you messed with us." Track number 6 is entitled Dream Girl Evil. The melodies in this song are honestly my favorite part. The instrumental consists of big drums, electric and acoustic guitars, fun keyboards, and of course Florence's soaring vocals. In this massive tune, she sings and challenges societal expectations that are placed upon women, and she flips this whole concept and the discourse surrounding that on its head. Here she uses language to embody both the angel that the world wants her to be, but also the demon that the world views her as when she's not cooperative, when she's not, quote, obedient. With that, we transition into track number 7, entitled The Prayer Factory. This song is a quiet interlude. The instrumental consists of wet drums, eerie strummed, bowed, and plucked strings at different parts, and of course, very wet vocals. It's a haunting segue, truth be told. Here lyrically, Florence expands on concepts that have already been presented to the listener this far on the album. She touches on embracing the things that she once feared, and she also comments on the overwhelming sense of futility that she feels, but it's also a sense of futility that the whole world might relate to nowadays. Track number 8 is entitled Cassandra. The song here gradually swells very beautifully as it runs its course. It starts out small and it ends really, really massive. We're introduced to the song with beautiful chimes and a soft acoustic guitar at the intro. By the time we reach the end of the song, it's bursting with energy, and Florence's beautiful soaring vocals carry the listener through that experience. The song feels like sirens singing out to you amidst a really thick fog. It's a very ethereal energy. On this smooth folk rock song, Florence sings of a strange state of existence, living with an overarching sense of, like, limbo, almost being in purgatory, as she describes no longer being able to identify with old emotions and reflecting on once strong abilities that have now been nullified. My personal favorite lines highlight this emotion as she sings in the second verse. "I used to move into the future and bring it all back. Let it bleed through my fingers, a treasure in my hands. Now I creep out when there's no one about, 'cause they put crosses on the doors to try and keep me out." The track title, Cassandra, is a reference to a person that appears in Greek mythology. Cassandra was cursed with the ability to see the future, I believe, by Apollo. But the catch here was, since it was a curse, that no one would ever believe these premonitions that she had. Florence compares this curse to life in the present day. In the post-COVID-19 pandemic age, many suddenly found themselves with all the time in the world, Florence herself included. And a seemingly infinite amount of time was presented to her, and of course that presents the opportunity to create a ton of new music. But what good is that if no one would ever hear it performed? Florence poses this question to the listener during the second chorus when she sings, "Well, can you hear me? I cannot hear you. Every song I thought I knew, I've been deafened to, and there's no one left to sing to." Track number 9 is entitled "Heaven is Here." The instrumental features beautiful chanting and an a cappella section, accompanied by subtle percussive elements, such as claps and minimal background music behind that. We can hear a piano and kick drums, for example, accompanying. It's a brief tune packed with big energy. It's almost like an esoteric sea shanty, if you want to think of it that way. Florence sings of joy, themes of pain, and depicts vibrant scenes with her beautiful word choice. She sums it up all perfectly with the closing lines, "And every song I wrote became an escape rope, tied around my neck to pull me up to heaven." We transition into track number 10, entitled "Daffodil." We've got ethereal melodies and loose rhythms that create the mood for this folk rock tune. It's gargantuan energy, especially towards the very end. Thematically, Florence ruminates on the concept of happiness as a whole. She describes a never-ending search for happiness that is persistent through all the bad and ugly that one may find in the world. Amongst all of the negativity that's out there, there is beauty to be found, and Florence touches on the smallest of moments, the smallest hints of beauty. I think it's highlighted well during the fourth verse when Florence sings, "I never thought it would get this far, this somewhat drunken joke. Sometimes I see so much beauty, I don't think that I can cope." We transition into track number 11, entitled "My Love." Here we've got a wonderful disco-infused instrumental that caught me by surprise. It's got plenty of fluff in the strings. There's a pulsing bass line underneath that, steady drums, and of course lots of movement, lots of life and energy. The sound of breaths, like vocal breaths, are used to add more of that sense of life into the song. Lyrically, Florence depicts a somber and empty scene. Just imagine dancing in an empty nightclub. You're by yourself, and you just can't stop moving your body. It's sad and lonely, and simultaneously overwhelming in how liberating that could be. It's a strange emotion that's neither here nor there. As Florence puts it in the chorus, "So tell me where to put my love. Do I wait for time to do what it does? I don't know where to put my love." The next track is entitled "Restraint," track number 12. Florence's vocals during the intro conjure up a very unsettling scene, as if we're in Silent Hill, like the game, exploring a ghost town. She utters the words, "And have I learned restraint? Am I quiet enough for you yet?" I love the way her voice sounds here. It's deep, and it's rough, it's raspy. It makes me want to hear more of this vocal fry from her. It's a beautifully creepy interlude, filled with angelic vocalizations, gasps, and other vocal effects. It's the shortest song on the album also, sitting just under 50 seconds in length. We transition into track number 13, entitled "The Bomb." We've got mellow and a very mellow and serene instrumental here, featuring soft piano, warm strummed guitars, lovely background vocals, and minimal percussive elements. Florence is at her most vulnerable on this song as she sings of love and the many fears that can come with it. At the end of the verse, she sings, "But if I was free to love you, you wouldn't want me, would you? Unavailability is the only thing that turns you on. Come here, baby, tell me that I'm wrong." She expands on this towards the end of the song when she sings, "I don't love you, I just love the bomb. I let it burn, but it just had to be done. And I'm in ruins, but is it what I wanted all along?" Some may relate to this feeling, choosing to live a lonely life to make space for other pursuits. It's painful and deliberate, and I think that Florence describes that emotion very well. The album closer, track number 14, is entitled Morning Elvis. It's a slower pace to the closing track here. The song features an organ, twinkly chimes, rhythmic strummed guitars, and subtle kick drums. It's a very warm mix. Here, Florence sings about sobriety. She describes a time where she almost missed a flight as the band had planned a trip to Graceland, Elvis's home in Memphis, Tennessee. Throughout the song, she explains that she's sure that Elvis would understand if she doesn't make it, since at that point she's drunk, so drunk that she can't even take care of herself. She then describes a drunk state the night before a concert when she's going to perform. On the chorus, she sings, "If I make it to the morning, I should have come with a warning. And if I make it to the stage, I'll show you what it means to be saved." Florence expresses some doubt that she'll pull through, but during the outro, we can hear the sound of a crowd cheering. While not stated explicitly, we can tell that Florence was able to overcome her struggle and hear the crowd that was awaiting her anxiously. And with that, we close the album, and I have to say that overall it was a very beautiful experience. It is consistent with what you would expect to hear from the band, so if you were hoping or expecting to hear something groundbreaking or wildly different from Florence and the Machine, you may be setting yourself up for disappointment. I love the many themes explored, and I can't help but notice the influence that the pandemic has had on Florence, and in turn on the music. It's a bit refreshing to hear these themes presented in musical form and lyrical form, just because I think it creates a unique soundtrack for a unique experience that we could all potentially relate to in some capacity. To me, there's no skips on the album, and it's paced very well. Definitely give this album a try if you've never listened to Florence and the Machine, or if you're just interested in alternative pop sounds. If you've made it this far and you've sat here to listen to me talk about Florence and the Machine and their latest album, Dance Fever, I really do appreciate that. No one asked you to do that, but here we are. And with all that being said, if you've got music you want to share with somebody, you can definitely send that my way. And I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And just remember to drink some water.